The Fourth Estate. Breaking news. Canada needs a plan to prevent hostile post-coronavirus. New rules for international travelers. It's now recommended that Canadians wear face masks. With your news anchors, Nikki and Carlos, reporting live at TalaLuvzRadio Worldwide. The Fourth Estate. Go ahead. Soul Rack and Nikki live at the Fourth Estate. You're live.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. We are back here at the Fourth Estate with me, and of course, my co-host, Sir Nikki Gokwan. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, not too bad. How about you, Carlos?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm really, really excited. And I hope you are too. I know you are. We've been chatting a while,
Yeah.
so a lot of things has changed in the last week here for us. So it's really, really exciting, and it's not just for me, and I'm sure the whole of Alberta. The whole Alberta is very excited. Phase one, here we are. How are things with you in my oil city over there? How are you doing, sir?
Oh, Edmonton, to be honest, is doing great. Everyone's happy that we're slowly getting back to the normal, but in a different way, in a new normal. And people are starting to go back to their favorite restaurants or bars. But as you know, it's still on a limited capacity, right?
Yes, and I'm sure our viewers right now, wherever there may be, they're very excited to tune in here with us at the Fourth Estate. Of course, presented by TalaLuvzRadio and SNC Galaxy. So for everybody that's watching us live right now on Facebook, listening to us um, on air through our TalaLuvzRadio app or on the website, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for listening to us here with your host, Carlos and Sir Nicky. So, Sir Nicky, say hi tayo muna sa mga ating viewers and listeners all over the world.
Yes, to all our listeners and viewers worldwide, sana po every Friday po and Saturday elsewhere, babayan niyo po kami. We're here to give you some breaking news and a lot of information. Carlos and I have gathered so much for the past few weeks and given you the meat and the news that you would like to hear with regards to what's happening around Canada and the Philippines.
That's right. That's right. So let's start, Tema. Let's start our show going here now. What a positive day, like what I was saying earlier, and a very, very ecstatic for all of Calgary and Brooks, Alberta, who has been waiting for this to happen. It seems like forever for all of us. Phase one has now been announced today for Calgary and Brooks, and Alberta uh, is now open for business, small businesses and non-essential businesses with, syempre, the whole Alberta. So what can you say about this?
Definitely, the business owners in Calgary have been waiting for this relaunch, and medyo it was pushed back a little bit. But right now, since nandito na tayo, no, I believe a lot of people are really looking forward to what's gonna happen right now. A lot of the businesses have been staying open online, and it was a big adjustment for a lot of small based businesses because they weren't really in the online industry, I call it, or in the new generation business, right? They're more of the personalized or personal touch business.
That's
And because of this pandemic, it has changed the environment, uh, and a lot of adjustments. Just like what we're doing right now, we're still maintaining social distancing and doing this live through Zoom. And thank you to Zoom for having a meeting a platform like this.
That's right. That's right. And since you guys opened up a week before us, have you had a pleasure to go outside and go and check out the restaurants where you normally go to, or I don't know, places? Have you gone anywhere in the last week?
Yes, I've stopped by the West Edmonton Mall, and there's really I didn't really go through the whole mall, but I can see that there are already some people slowly coming back. But there's still a big population that has been hesitant to go back to the mall. Having said that, the restaurants are still getting some traffic. Have started to get some traffic now, but not a whole lot because of the restrictions, right?
Yes, and again, talking about restaurants here, I remember last week. Again, it was very unfortunate, or yeah, when they announced the phase one for the whole Alberta, they held up Brooks and Calgary due to the a lot of reasons, right? And that's why our premier of Alberta decided to put a hold on our city here in Calgary and Brooks. I remember going back to that. A lot of businesses was, of course, very not. I don't know if the term disappointed is a correct word to use, but I know they were devastated because they geared up for it so much that eventually all of their overstocks, what they called it, has perished due to the holdup. But since they've announced the opening of our business, small businesses here in Calgary. Of course, they still have to maintain the social distancing and all of that, and the capacity. I'm going to talk about the capacity of allow individuals inside the restaurants or bars or even barbershops has a minimum of or no, sorry, a maximum of 50% capacity.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point that a lot of businesses got disappointed, but sometimes these setbacks are an indicator that we gotta still be careful about what's happening around us. And I believe the paramount interest right now is to keep everyone safe, right?
Understand. And you know what? Talking about that being safe, um, I'm sure you've heard of this news because the Canada's chief public health officer is officially recommending Canadians to wear a non-medical face mask when maintaining a 2 meter distance, if it isn't possible. And
Yeah.
that was announced by Dr. Theresa Tam, and she made that announcement last Wednesday. So, and I think because I'm actually out now working, back to work, and all of that. So,
Excuse me.
considering myself as also as taking a risk, right, to be out there and to be amongst other people who is coming in and out of our offices and our establishment.
Excuse me. It's just so
Yeah.
dry.
Yes.
So definitely, they have made a public announcement already to encourage people to start wearing non-medical masks. So as you know, there's a lot of talk about masks here and there, and what what is your take on that, Carlos, on wearing mask in public?
Again, it's a big. I think it would be a big help towards, not just for right now. It isn't just for what we're going through right now. I think this will actually be a big part for moving forward or for our future, anyhow, right? So I think it's a great call by our Dr. Teresa Tam to actually recommend. And I hope that all of our citizens and also everybody in Canada would partake into this recommendation that would benefit everybody.
Yes, the I think the faster we adopt to the new change, I call it, and the new norm, then it will bring back uh, more normalcy into our lives, right? Right now, there's still a lot of restrictions, but we want those restrictions to be slowly taken away. And for that to happen, we have to follow all these guidelines. And if you look at it, there is I call it a history or a guide for where mass really came from, or wearing mask came from. The Czech Republic, as you can see, recommended that everyone wear masks. And because of that, the infection rate of COVID-19 in that country was really low.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for that report. I didn't know that. I thought it started in China, not only due to the big population that they have or the pollution that they had, but eventually actually are realizing it now that that was actually a big how do you say that, a moving forward thinking that all of the netizens actually decided on doing, right, wearing the mask. And I think most part of Asia started doing the same thing, even before COVID. So
And it's towards the right direction, Carlos, because the recommendation is non-medical mask. Okay, if we talk about mask, we know everywhere, every part of the world right now is sourcing masks, and in one from one country, and we know that everything is coming from China right now because they're the manufacturing capital of the world, right?
that is a fact. Yes.
So with regular masks, anyone can just sew their own mask, right? No need to really go out and purchase your mask. If you know how to sew it, then you sew it at home, and then that will save you a lot of money.
And yes, and I think that's why it was emphasized by Dr. Theresa Tam that some Canadians they're recommending us Canadians to wear the non-medical face mask. So, which is yes, what you were just saying there. So, um, yun lang po. So sana we will follow through. To help everybody out, to help you, to help me, to help
So
us.
so I heard you're launching a contest of the most fancy homemade mask, eh?
This is it. Can you not see? Can you not see it? It's see through.
You're wearing a mask already.
But yes, that is a fact now. That is part of our new normal, which is going to be seeing everybody wearing a mask. Um, Anywhere you go now, also, if you're in retail, for example, or if you're in restaurants, for example, I think even fast food chain restaurant or fast food chains, they now have plexiglasses in front, where they would be receiving payments or talking to a customer, for example, and things like that. They have a plexiglass.
Yeah, the for the benefit of those people who don't understand or what plexiglass is, it's basically a clear acrylic glass, right? They call it here as a sneeze guard. So if someone sneezes, then I won't infect the the cashier or the frontline worker, and that's what they've been doing everywhere in the retail industry.
Yes, that is correct. And you know what? Since we're talking about this once again, um, I just wanna say something here because um, it's a big factor to whatever is gonna happen from now on, moving on to the future. Is the cleanliness or how you sanitize your business per se, your offices, your establishment, or whatsoever. When you're receiving customer service, or when you're receiving, well, or when you're servicing, right? Because again, even from starting from coming inside or opening the door, I'm sure even before then you were quite aware that passing um, one germ to the other is by touching something, right?
Correct.
Again, I remember this going back before before this pandemic happened. You know, you would be opening the door, using a something to hold the door, just to not be able to touch it with your own hands, right?
Yes,
So
if you one of the biggest talk when the pandemic erupted was gasoline station,
yes,
right? And because a lot of
touch,
people put gas, right, and
yeah,
you touch the pump, and that's why the gas station owners have provided us with plastic gloves, right, to use when you're filling up your gas, because that's one of the very frequently touched items in 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 your daily life, right?
yes, that is correct. Now talking about daily life, and thank you for giving me this little cue. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, new rules for international travels coming back to Alberta to undergo thermal scan and also isolation plan. What do you think about, right? What do you think about
Awesome.
this?
Well, to be honest, Carlos, you know my sentiments on when this pandemic started to erupt in Asia. I believe, and I would repeat again, that Canada should have taken the proactive measure of putting thermal scanners all across the airports, the international airports. Another thing that they should have done is shut our borders for people coming directly from Wuhan, where the epicenter of the pandemic was, right? But unfortunately, Canada, being a multicultural country, was not able to implement all these measures prior to, I believe they reacted to it rather than being proactive to the pandemic. Luckily, we're not so bad.
But did you know that the Premier of Alberta actually announced the infrared scanners will be set in the international arrivals terminal for both Edmonton and Calgary?
That is great news because really, if you look at Canada, because of our we're a multicultural country, so we have so much traffic, from Asia, from Europe, from
From
the
all
Middle
over.
East, from all over the world. And believe it
Yes.
or not, Canada's population is not that great compared to the United States. But when it comes to travel, we're not far behind.
Yes. We are more diverse country, definitely.
A very diverse country, and a lot of us really, I call it, for us, we call ourselves Phil Canadian, and the rest, they'll call themselves whatever, Greek Canadians or Arab Canadians or Hindi Canadians, whatever it
Philippines.
is. Majority of us go back to our home country and visit our
Yes.
relatives, and that happens quite often to each and every nationality in Canada. And I think the thermal scan will really help a lot of people. There's a lot of talk about scanning for fever. This thermal scan really scans for fever, Carlos. So for people who don't understand what this does, is it scans for someone who has fever.
The
Now,
temperature. Yeah.
the temperature of the person. Whilst there are people who would say, how about the asymptomatic people? Um, you can't really detect that, right? But it is much better to have something rather than nothing at all. And majority of COVID patients have fever.
Yeah, and you know what? The great thing about what you just said there too also is taking a chance, right? I think our government taken us has taken a big chance by not, closing our borders when they knew um, that these things are happening already.
Yes, and right now, because of the new norm now, they will be scanning, and that's good. I know, in fact, even here in Edmonton, there is already a company that is out there and doing demonstrations for small business thermal scanning.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I hope that they will also come visit Calgary for that matter, because we're gonna need these scanners. I think moving forward.
Yes, and there's a lot of talk, and there's also talk that they might carry on the demonstration at the legislature to show and protect our MLAs and officials in the legislature.
And the fourth estate will be there.
The fourth estate will be there.
All right, and yes, since again we're talking about that, the reason for now the thermal um, scanning and all of that is because obviously it's very obvious that what we just talked about, that we have a lot of international um,
Travelers.
travelers that are coming in and out of our country, and also of course the U.S. That's where mainly we're getting these viruses, right? So, I mean, it doesn't help us. It doesn't help us here in our province or in this country when this is happening every day and every time, and we can't catch it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And now also, that being said, there is an isolation plan, like what we said. Okay, before we started talking about this, um, there's an isolation plan, and hopefully that the Canadians or whoever is coming in our country that will follow this isolation plan that the government will be implementing, and I hope it will be implemented the way it should be. It will be tracked the way it should be, because otherwise this plan can just be a simple plan without any you know
Consequences.
foreseeable feature. So
Yes.
it's
Exactly. Yeah, it's a positive step and towards the right direction, right? And I believe the government has taken so much information elsewhere and trying to create their own solution. Having said that, looking at experiences from elsewhere and pull them together and see what can be done in the Canadian setting. Because as you can see, each country is different, right? Canada has its own ways, and sometimes there are things that doesn't work in the Canadian setting. I call it. How about the automotive industry, Carlos? What's happening in the automotive industry? What's been done?
well, there's a lot, and I would say this: the factory. Now, just for an example, a factory that I'm very well aware of, Ford company, has shut down their factories. So they've stopped making the vehicles at this point. Um, and I'm not sure if you knew this, but we've actually helped, or the Ford company has helped through making the face masks. So instead of making
Vehicles.
they've actually done their due diligence to help. not just the country but the world, um, to support, especially our frontliners, all the medics. They've teamed up with GE. I'm sure you know this company, GE, and I believe another big company. I'm not sure um, of the third one, but they've joined force, and they've created face masks instead of making an F-150 or a truck.
And that's a laudable move, like what the alcohol industry did, right? The alcohol industry,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they shifted their production into sanitizers because there was a huge demand for sanitizers.
You know what? Okay, thank you again. Thank you for mentioning alcohol. I mean, it's not my favorite. Okay, it's not. But let me just say this. Let me just say this. I remember reading a quote, or I remember reading a some sort of a post. Um, that's I'm sure you're familiar with this San Miguel Corp.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so same thing. He stopped making his alcohol for the time being, but instead, started producing not the gin maker, not the gin, but the alcohol, the rubbing alcohols or something that can help for the time being.
Yes, and the nice thing about that is you have probably heard about it that he has actually donated his salary too to and has kept workers with their salary despite the fact that they're not working in support of his own workers, right?
Yeah, it was very touching. It was very touching, and I hope a lot of big, let's call them big guys, because they think they're the mayaman, right? We're not gonna talk about mayaman challenge, but um, but again, he did mention, or somebody mentioned that it's true enough. You cannot bring the money or your earnings or whatever it is may be to the second home when you pass away. So with this situation right now, it's better off for him, was to help, especially the ones that are very close to him, which is his workers. Um, and I really salute that person. I know he's watching us live right now. But
Well,
anyways, that's
you
you know
know,
it,
the company has always been very helpful since since the old days, and I know that he was the right leader for the company moving forward with the perception of a very great mindset and to help the country in a lot of ways. In fact, he was a part of the government plan to build a new airport for the Philippines, right? And this
amazing.
is going to be in Bulacan.
He's got so much amazing story, and that's why, I don't know how many years he's been in the industry, or I don't know how many years he's been in business, but let's give him a shout out. Ron Ang, I think it is Ron Ang, uh,
Ramona.
yes,
Yeah,
ang
Ramona. Yeah.
owner ng San Miguel. And
Yes.
despite of all of this, actually, one thing that I remember reading from that his son actually passed uh,
Yes.
during this whole situation, and he still has the courage, he still has the power to use it, and use it the very rightful way, to help, you know, despite of, again, potentially losing his company.
Yes.
With that note, Sir Nicky, we're just gonna go for a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
We're back.
Hello, we are back, and thank you guys again for tuning in here with us and watching us live here at the Fourth Estate. Also, by the way, we want to give you guys a very, very warm thank you to all of the people watching and listening to us live right now on our TalaLuvz Radio Hub, on our app, who is probably
Yeah,
listening
Filipino
to us.
app, right?
Good morning to you and good evening.
Yes.
Sir
Good morning.
Nikki,
Good evening.
where did we left off?
So we were talking about prior to the generosity of Mr. Ramon Ang of SMB, San Miguel Beer. We were talking about airlines and what new measures the government has implemented or implementing for international travel.
Oh,
Now,
true.
yeah. Now, did you come to think of it? What would airline travel look like after this pandemic, post-pandemic? How
You know,
do you picture that?
you know what? That's funny. That's funny you said that because we we came across a few things, right? I'm sure with the great minds, the designers that's out there doing their thing, never sleeps, and just keep improvising or innovating, right? To help everybody, right? Especially our aviation, right?
Yes.
Kasi that's a very very big part of our all being now, di ba?
Yes.
Think about it this way. Kunyari, wala tayong airlines or airports or airplanes that will be going around our sky, you know. Kaya these guys did never sleep. This designers, they don't sleep. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Okay, um, the three seats sa airplane mismo, right? Kasi syempre, we gotta keep our social distancing. We gotta keep our 2 meters away. Um,
So, so let me ask you, Carlos, how do you do that? How do you do that inside the airline?
Funny again, kasi nga, think about it. There's always that second row or the middle seat, di ba? The middle seat. Um, the innovators are planning or are thinking or designed a few, let's say, demos, or well, let's call it a demo. They're making the seats, I think it was a coned kind of a design, and instead of having 3 rows, they're gonna spin the middle seat.
Wow. So spinning the middle seat. So the other person is facing backwards then.
Yes, would that be something else?
Yeah, that's something new and something else.
Again, being improvised, but I know. So it's like this: you're sitting in your seat, and the middle seat, just like this, right, is facing you instead of being so close to him.
So it still creates that distance, right?
I think so, and I think that's why the one of the signs that we came across was a demo like that.
Yes, and I believe there is also I call a plexiglass around it, right?
Yes, another setup would be a plexiglass, right? So then now it's like having a window beside you, a plexiglass.
Doesn't that move also allow the passengers more room now?
Yeah, so you know what? There's more elbow space for you. I think I like that idea.
Yes, I think a lot of people will welcome that because we're so used to airlines. We are crammed into airlines, and they always fail the airlines, and it's quite understandable. I understand that there's some companies thinking about removing or basically eliminating that middle row. What can you say about that, Carlos?
Again, it would help. I think it would help. Although my only biggest concern, I think, really, for for the next airplane rides that we'll be taking is still the air ventilation. I think for me that's just what it is, right? Yes, given the fact that I think it will happen. It's just a matter of the right design to come out. That there's going to be some more space that will be required, especially inside a plane.
Yeah, and that's just one of the factors that they're looking into. There are plans of putting in plexiglass on every seat, so without turning the seats, you have this guards, right, to protect the passengers. But as well, you just raise a very important point in air travel, and that is about the air quality,
Air quality, yep.
or air quality of the plane, right? Because this is basically what I call recirculated air, and it's the same way in any air conditioned room. So I was looking at a lot of things this week, and there was one video that talks about air conditioning, and the air conditioning exists in airlines, right? When we travel, and the biggest thing is that if I do sneeze,
Where
and
does that
those,
go?
yeah, those are recirculated
Yep.
inside the airplane because of the air conditioning. So how does that protect now air travelers like us, Carlos?
Well, again, it's been a long journey with all of this air circulated um, diba, situation that we had been on or in, especially when we're riding a plane or when we're enjoying a plane ride. Is the unfortunate up to this point, there's nothing has been changed really. I think so.
Yeah, probably someone has to come up with a better plan of filtering that air, as to how that air can be filtered or can be ionized. I'm not sure what the process is, but yeah, it's nice to tickle the minds of the engineers as to what can be done as far as the recirculated air and how to purify that.
You know how powerful this message that we're sending right now, this message, this video, this live video that we're having right now. We challenge you, all of you innovators out there, that potentially can help not just an economy but the whole world, especially the ones that uses or that travels a lot for work purposes, or we all know it's not just for work purposes, but there's a lot of means of using an aircraft or an airplane. So I think we can challenge these guys, these great minds. I'm sure you are watching us right live right now, and we challenge you. We challenge you to have a better air
Yeah, come up with a better solution, and
solution.
yeah, this affects the whole world. The airline industry, unfortunately, cannot take down that middle seat. In some
Cannot.
cases, they
They
cannot
cannot.
afford that.
They cannot afford it. And again, let's just segue to where we're going to now. I think one of the main reasons that they cannot take out a middle seat, they cannot afford it, because we cannot also afford to fly. Okay, just like when you take out something, for example, the whole thing costs $100. It doesn't matter. Making an iPhone costs you $100, right? When you tell me that you take out one thing, right? would this phone, the way it is right now, would it factor? Would it do anything the same as what it's doing now? It won't. It won't, because just like the airlines right now, if you take out that middle row, and like I said, these guys are better off to not fly, to not have aviation, because they cannot afford to run their business. You want me to give you a quick one good example, Sir Nikki?
Yes, please.
Can I do this? Unfortunately, I have to read it because there's a lot of information here that needs to be discussed. Now, for example, one of the biggest airlines in the industry is American Airlines, and guess what? According to American Airlines Group Inc., that they might be the first one to go under. Okay, the reason they say that is because the American Airlines burns 50 million to 70 million per day.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Per day, and it will continue to lose money in the foreseeable future. At the end of second quarter, this airline expects to have 11 billion in liquidity, while its total debt is 25 billion. Considering its enormous debt burden, there's a very high chance that this airline will be the very first major airlines to declare bankruptcy in recent years.
So
So,
so Carlos, has the government of the United States made any move to support the airline industry? Is there anything that's been said about that with regards pertaining to the news item that you're talking about, American Airlines going under?
you know what? And to the answer, to answer your question, it's like that person in the house doesn't hear anything. Doesn't hear, doesn't see. He doesn't even read his agenda when he's going into to what you call it, to his briefings or whatsoever, right? But we're not gonna talk about him. These guys are faced with a very, very difficult situation, um, and that's why we're going back to the middle row, to that middle row, who is, or which is very important, to the airlines or the aircrafts, because it's not only a body, it's also a percentage that will make the 100%.
Exactly, and yeah, that cost is not gonna be affordable when they do that, right? Jumping 50% in passenger fare. That's just too much money.
Because even right now, you travel, they're asking you basically to make up for it. Okay, do you? Is okay. It is stupid to say, or whatever you want to say. It's if you're in your right mind, you won't be traveling right. I'm sorry to the aircrafts or to the airlines or whatsoever. You know what you're faced with. It's going to be a very, very tough situation, and this is not just for the airlines.
Yeah,
Think about
definitely.
think about the big the hotels, for example, the hotel industry, right? All of these things are trickling down to what's the reality now.
Yes, definitely. You need to, yeah, it's interconnected, right? If you don't have travelers, then what happens to the hotel industry, right? Majority of the traffic is coming from the airlines into the hotels,
Exactly.
and yes, you're gonna have that. I call it interstate travel or land travel, but majority, a high majority is through air, and it will be very, very sad to see the airlines go under, because it's been a tough situation for the airline industry. There's a lot of airlines have been going under even before the pandemic erupted, and now they're faced with even greater problems with the ongoing pandemic.
Indeed, indeed. So now, where do we go from there?
Well, hopefully, the genius minds that we're tickling will find a better solution. And all these guys thinking about innovative seats in the airlines. Plus, we're calling out, the geniuses and the engineers that to find a better solution as far as the air circulation is concerned, and how this will be able to help and ease up the minds of travelers and start traveling again.
Yes, and you know what? It is true enough that our economy, okay, part of our economy will rise once again. Um, with the help of travelers, right? Little do we know, you know what? Alberta is actually also one of the biggest tourism, let's just say,
Yes.
tourism as a very, very big help for our economy.
Yeah. So you just mentioned about economy, and that's a good time to talk about post-COVID. So post-COVID, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, Carlos. But one of the biggest concerns right now is businesses being taken over by foreign businesses, and this is a major concern right now in Canada. That the national security experts are warning the Canadian government that the Canadian businesses that are struggling because of the current pandemic are going to be an easy prey for hostile foreign takeovers. And what they mean by that is that there are sensitive establishments that we need to ensure and protect. And this includes the medical supply industry in Canada, right? And the oil and gas industry,
Industry,
as
yeah.
well as other critical infrastructures. And why did they sound this alarm? The biggest problem here is not just mainly takeover of the company, but the sensitivity of the information that the company holds. If the company is dealing with the government, or the federal government, or the provincial government, now if a foreign country comes in, this will open up the doors to the foreign country and see what's happening internally. And that's not very good.
That's a big no-no.
It's a big no-no.
It's a big no-no.
So
We cannot have that. We cannot have that. Period. And I'm sure, you can tell us more about it because in
yeah,
in 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 the right minds, who wants to be controlled, especially if a caliber such as Canada, it's for me, it's surreal. You cannot. I can't even think of it. I can't make out of it. Like it's
and, this is why the CSIS, or the Canadian Security Services, has sounded this alarm. There's a lot of investment, foreign investment coming into Canada. And one of the biggest examples I could tell you is Huawei, the president of
right.
Huawei that was recently I call detained because of allegations of uh, dealing with Iran, right?
Yes, and that was, yeah. Again, part of that is what you just mentioned earlier, is part of takeovering, right? So, um, how is that coming along?
Um, it's the case is still ongoing, and what Huawei was trying to bring to Canada as well, for the benefit of our viewers, was the 5G technology that the Americans don't like. That's the honest truth to it. No one likes the 5G. There's a lot of negative talk on the 5G and how this can affect our health. What can you say about this, Carlos?
Um, if you think that we're in a crazy world right now with this pandemic, if you know what this 5G is capable of doing, please, if you haven't yet, go research it because it is dangerous.
Yes, not only dangerous in terms of what it can do to your household, what it uh, there's a lot of multitude of
Exactly.
things that they can do with 5G, right?
Exactly.
Not only that, it also affects our health, and
Big time.
that's the
Big
bottom
time.
line there.
Big time. Kaya nga sabi ko, if they think that this pandemic, that COVID-19 is worse than what we think that it is now, with 5G, let me tell you, like I said, if you guys haven't looked it up yet, um, you won't be. We can't survive in it. We it's it's basically we're putting ourselves in a timeline, and it's just ready to go kaboom.
Yeah. So as we talk about the kaboom, and we would like to talk about technology on going back to the technology side of things. I understand that Canada wants to do a centralized app for the whole of Canada. What can you say about that, Carlos?
I I picked up on that earlier, and actually that was very recent. That was very recent. And yes, Canada may soon be implementing a more unified approach to tracing the close contacts of COVID-19 cases, including federally recommended app track people's movements. So now they can basically, um, parang in a way, talagang shadow you.
And
Which, go ahead.
yeah, is that a good thing? What do you think about the privacy questions behind all of this stuff right now?
You know what? I'm sorry, Mr. Patient, right? If you have that, right? I'm sorry, but it's not just protecting your family, your entire community, but it's also protecting everybody, right? So unfortunately, due to your circumstances, you have to have this. You have to have it. Um, Again, if it was you, if it was me, I wouldn't want others to get infected by it.
Yes, and the nice thing about having a unified app, we call it countrywide unified app, uh, is when people travel from inter-province, because Canada is a federal government, so you have different provinces and there's different regulations all throughout the different provinces. While Alberta has started its own app, the federal government wants to unify it so it's easier
To
for
control.
everyone to control, right? The contacts.
Yes, and since you're talking about Alberta, by the way, I want to say hello to the Premier of Alberta, Sir Jason Kenney. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us tonight for our segment tonight. He's a busy person. We understand that. We have him on the lineup pretty hopefully in the near future here. Yeah, unfortunately, he was you know had other things came up.
Yes, obviously, very busy man. Premier Kenny was supposed to be our guest tonight, but unfortunately, something came up, and we totally understand, and we'd like to thank him also for considering to be our guest, and it would be a great honor for us to have him on the show.
Ano ba yung sabi niya kanina sa'yo, sir? Sabi niya na pagpasensyahan na daw at hindi tayo ma-join ang ating mga viewers and ating mga listeners. But
Yes, please Yeah, bear with us and look forward, right?
Yeah,
To
and unfortunately kasi kanina siya nag-announce ng announcement about the phase 1 here in Calgary. He was here earlier today. But again, he is a busy man. Let's just say that. He's a very busy man.
yes, very very busy man, and we totally understand that. And yeah, we definitely look forward to having him in the show in our future episodes. And also, talking about the guests, Sir Carlos, is next week we have a very interesting guest. The Undersecretary of the DICT, General Liceo Rio, will be our guest speaker next week. So abangan ng mga viewers natin yan. General Rio will brief us on the developments of the internet in the Philippines.
Nice. Nice. I look forward to that. I look forward to that. And by the way, before we go, we're getting close to our time here. By the way, since you're talking about our motherland, we're gonna talk about our countryman, who is ano bang tawag dito? Kasi last week we were with Consulate General Mr. Zaldi Patron. Hello, sir. Again, we just want to touch up on what he had mentioned last week, uh, to all of the TFWs that's in Canada. If you haven't availed just yet, you do have you can apply for the adult ACAP. Tama ba po 'yun, Sir Nicky?
Yes. So for those people who were not able to catch our show last week, kung kayo po ay temporary foreign worker, or if you're a temporary foreign worker in English, and please do apply for the ACAP program. You're gonna be receiving $200 US, so it's over $200 Canadian, uh, bilang suporta from the Philippine government during this pandemic. And magpasalamat po kayo na meron pong programang ganon, because ito ay ano no,
Tulong.
oo, malaking tulong po 'yan sa ating mga temporary foreign workers. At saludo kami sa mga temporary foreign workers. Alam namin po, marami sa inyo, maraming may mga pamilya na iniwan sa Pilipinas, at malaking tulong po yung $200.
Ayan po. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sir Nicky. And siyempre, paanyaya, di ba? Paanyaya or paalala lang po sa atin na please contact our consulate office, di ba? And also, I think they have a website to go to. I think it's something about Polo, something na pwede nilang
So the program is under Polo Vancouver, right? Philippine office, yeah. So Polo Vancouver po ang hanapin niyo. Just type in sa Google, Polo Vancouver, and then there is an application form that you fill out to avail of this program. So wag niyo po kang kalimutan, kasi sayang po. Malaking tulong po ito sa inyo.
Yes, and Sir Nicky, bago tayo umalis, mag-overtime na tayo. Mag-overtime na tayo. Ang daming nanonood sa atin guys. Kaya ito po, meron ako, and we have a syempre, in the land of sports, ika nga.
Yun ang inaantay ko.
In the land of sports. So, potentially na po magbabalik na, or in English na, okay? NHL is actually I think will be going ahead and proceeding to going back to their season. But instead of the season moving forward, I think they're gonna cut their playoff format into a 24 NHL teams expected to pass the NHLPA vote. So yun po, malapit na, very very soon, but they're gonna open up. And in the meantime, the NBA is still uncertain about the regular season. Nako, paano ba yan, sir? Wala tayong playoffs, wala tayong basketball.
Manonood pa naman ako.
Diba? So, ayan, playoff formats after the hiatus. So, hopefully they can come in one great minds to actually go through and finish the season because parang that's gonna be, I don't know how to say it, parang kulang sa mga sports minded or sa mga sports junk la katulad natin na mawawala ang basketball.
Sports has been part of our life, right? So marami sa atin po inaabangan yung sports. Ito po yung pinakalibangan natin, eh, no? And then kung titingnan mo, balita ko may may gagawin daw si Tiger. Anong gagawin?
Yes, ito nanggaling po to sa napakagaling nating source na Mr. Golfer natin, si Sir Vic Pupugencio. Sabi niya nga na the Tiger Phil Match 2, okay? Magkakaroon po ng Tiger versus Phil Mickelson Part 2. Pero merong konting twist to, Sir Nicky. They're gonna add the two NFL greats katulad ng Tom Brady and Peyton Manning to be teamed up. I think
Tom Brady and Peyton Manning will be doing the golf, eh?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Magtutuon sub golfing sila, sir.
Oh my.
And by the way, this is set to be scheduled this coming Sunday. So I'm sure a lot of the golfers will be looking forward to watch this coming.
Is this a charity event, Sir Carlos?
Yes, that's what it said. It's going to be a charity event, so it will be a whole fun of charity event, and it's for a great cause, and hopefully they'll come through, which I think they will. I mean, golf is golf. It's probably one of the safest, I think, na pwede nating magawa rin for whatever we're going through right now.
Definitely, the greens is so huge na pwede ka talagang mag-social distancing. Ano?
Diba? Kahit 4 meter.
Yeah, bubuksan na nila yung golf course. I said, that's great because really, golf, ang laki ng greens eh. So, there's social distancing. It's okay.
That's right. So, paano ba yan, Sir Nicky? We're gonna be calling it a night for now.
Yeah, marami pa dapat. There's a lot of topics that we can discuss, but we are so grateful to have you follow us, the Fourth Estate, and salamat, Carlos, for this great show tonight.
Well, it was great. Syempre kasi with your great minds na syempre nakakatulong sa mga katulad ko dito na very very simple or very small lang ang pagkakaalam pagdating sa mga press, which is you're really helping me out with all of this. I mean, I do appreciate politics, I do appreciate the economics and the business perspectives and things like that, but with you helping me out go through all of these things, man, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, same here. And sa lahat ng viewers po natin, maraming salamat. Huwag niyo po kalimutan, every Friday po kami, okay? 8:30 to 9:30. And sa Manila time po, 10:30 to 11:30 Saturdays. Abangan niyo po ang guest namin next week. And kami po ay magpapaalam na. Maraming salamat.
Hindi kita susundan.
At TalaLuvzRadio.com worldwide po. Tandaan niyo po.
Yes, and syempre maraming salamat sa ating sa director na, presidente pa. Maraming salamat syempre kay Miss Sherian Fulgencio for always being on our side here and helping us go through this. Thank you. Without you, walang Fourth Estate. At saka syempre, once again, we're gonna invite everybody to come check us out on our www.TalaLuvzRadio.com website to
MyTuner app, right?
Yeah, to be in the know, and to the MyTuner app. If you haven't yet, go download that so you can listen to us wherever you may be.
Yeah, MyTuner app, download lang, napakasimple. Download and then look for TalaLuvzRadio.
That's right. And paano, sino pa yung mga natin? May mga girls tayo dyan
Oo, yung marami pong shows na pwede niyong subaybayan, right?
Yan.
Kikay Girls on Monday, right?
Yes, meron tayong Kikay Girls.
And then on Thursdays, yung TalaLuvzRadio program niyo.
Yes, 7 to 8 p.m. po yan. Dito po yan sa Calgary time. At
And
huwag
then-
natin kalimutan ang ating little baby,
Yes.
the youngest DJ that we have here, DJ Love, gives you every Friday sa Hikary's TV from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Imagine mo yung binubuo ng TalaLuvz Radio. It's a complete package, right? Complete package.
Yeah.
So,
For general, merong pang PG-13, di ba? Mayroong pang rated PG. Ay, ano ba yan? Rated pang pogi pala.
so sa mga hindi pa nakakaalam, paki-share nyo po at paki-like nyo lang po and subscribe or to our videos.
That's right. That's right. So, Sir Nicky, have a great weekend. We'll see you. See you again.
Yeah, the Fourth Estate is signing off for the night.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We're signing off. We're out. Have a great weekend. Bye.